The storm had been building for hours, but no one could have predicted the violence of the sea that day. Dark clouds pressed low over the horizon, and the ocean churned with a fury that seemed almost alive. At the center of it all, a wrecked cargo vessel lay broken in the water, half submerged, its steel skeleton jutting from the waves like the bones of some fallen beast. Around it, a monstrous whirlpool swirled, dragging everything down with relentless force. On the wreckage, survivors clung desperately to whatever pieces of metal they could grip, their faces pale with terror. Some floated in the water, kicking frantically against the current, their voices drowned out by the thunder of the storm. Time was running out, and the abyss beneath them was waiting. Miles away, the distress call had reached the Coast Guard. Inside the operations center, urgency filled the air. Radios crackled, maps were spread across tables, and screens showed satellite images of the storm. Commander Reyes, a veteran of dozens of rescue missions, stood tall with his eyes locked on the unfolding chaos. He knew every second counted. With a sharp order, he launched the mission. Rescue boats surged forward, helicopters roared to life, and every available unit was dispatched into the storm. Out at sea, the scene was like something out of a nightmare. 3 rescue boats pitched and rolled as they approached the vortex, their crews bracing themselves against the spray of salt water that stung their eyes. Above them, helicopters circled, struggling to maintain position against the brutal winds. From the sky, the full horror was clear. Survivors were trapped inside the grip of a giant whirlpool, the shipwreck at its core acting like a magnet pulling everything down. The order came. Rescue swimmers leapt from the hovering helicopters, their bodies cutting into the violent sea. The cold was immediate, the current nearly overwhelming, but training took over. Fighting their way through the swirling waters, they reached the survivors one by one. A young woman clinging to a twisted railing cried out as a wave slammed her against the wreck. A rescuer wrapped his arm around her, shouting encouragement as he clipped her to the harness rope. Instantly, the helicopter crew above hauled her into the air, her terrified face illuminated by flashes of lightning. Another survivor slipped, vanishing beneath the water. A rescuer dove after him, disappearing into the whirlpool's froth. For a heart-stopping moment, there was nothing but the roar of the sea. Then, they emerged together, gasping for breath, the rescuer dragging the man to safety. One after another, people were pulled from the jaws of the abyss, some hauled onto the rescue boats, others lifted skyward by winches. On deck, medics rushed to treat hypothermia, broken bones, and sheer shock. Survivors wept, clinging to their rescuers, whispering that they thought it was the end. Finally, with the last survivor secured, the mission drew to a close. The helicopters rose into the grey sky, carrying the rescued toward safety, while the whirlpool swallowed the remaining wreckage whole. The ocean was merciless, but courage had prevailed. Against impossible odds, lives had been saved, and the storm's fury would be remembered not just for its destruction, but for the bravery of those who dared to face it.